Good afternoon. It's been a long time since you and I chatted via video. It's not that I didn't have anything to say, it's just that I had too much to say and I wanted to sort it out a little bit in my mind before I chatted to you. Since I've spoken to you last, I've been rather entranced by the world of hemp. Not hemp bags, although there are a lot of them, or hemp pillows or hemp sweaters, and no doubt I'll get there. I am talking about hemp seed. Now, I don't want you to be confused with marijuana because I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about hemp. Hemp is the one that you won't get high from. It is the cheerful cousin. Marijuana is the outlaw cousin. They're the same genus, I believe, but they're just slightly different in their active properties. In America, the medical marijuana, has been somewhat deregulated. It's easier to get, and certainly in some states it's very easy to get. But not so in Australia. Australia has deregulated medical marijuana to the point where you can go to a specialist, be referred to somebody who can deliver it to you. And there are only 15 recognised diseases and conditions that make you eligible for it. So it's not as easy as it seems. We say, oh yes, it's deregulated, but no, it isn't. You can still be prosecuted for buying it online, but that's not what I'm doing, and that's not what I'm speaking to you about. I'm speaking to you about hemp. Hemp is CBD, that is the cannabinoid, and medical marijuana has the major constituent of THC, which is the phytoactive part. So what makes it very exciting for me is the fact that the endocannabinoid system is a system I never had really heard about before. In America, only 13% of medical schools are teaching anything about the endocannabinoid system, even though it is one of the major systems in the body. We're always taught we have 11. Well, in fact, we have 12. We have the endocannabinoid system. And researchers and scientists weren't allowed to study it because marijuana in all its forms was banned. It was illegal. So not only did it mean we couldn't take it and we couldn't buy it, it couldn't be researched, but it certainly is at the moment. And hemp products, the sale of hemp, I'm told, is going to be, this is hemp to take, is going to be increasing in the region of 500 to 700% by the middle of next year. So if you've got any spare cash in the bank, I would say to you, go and put it in cannabis shares. Hemp shares would be very good. So the hemp, the cannabis we are talking about is cannabis sativa or sativa, depends what school you were at. And the one that Queen Victoria took that is legal now is cannabis indicus. It theoretically came from India. As a matter of fact, it's even in the Vedas because the gods gave cannabis to the world, and it's for everybody to use. It is something that helps the whole system, and it can be grown in every country. It's very easy to grow, and the hemp itself can be used as wool board and clothing and fibre and everything like that. But it is fabulous to take. I've been taking it now, thinking about it while I was taking it rather than just pouring it on, for about 6 weeks. And I have found it really incredibly valuable to my system. I've been taking the oil and more lately the seeds and the powder. And probably because it's so high in protein and so high in omega-3s and balanced with omega-6s and 9s and has got a great complement of minerals. It really suits my system, and I'm noticing some changes. I've been talking with people overseas who are writing books or have written really good books, and they have told me, well, what you're doing is just the front end. The most important work is with the full spectrum oil, because the powder that I'm using and the seeds and the oil are from the seeds, from the de-hulled seeds, which are quite beautiful, very creamy and lovely. But the medicinal part of hemp is from full spectrum oil, which means that they've used the whole of the plant and they have distilled it into a tincture. So that's quite a different process than squeezing it and cold pressing it into an oil or drying it for a powder. I just love it however it comes. I would say to you that, one of the most startling things I noticed in the last few days, I've had seborrheic dermatitis for a lot of years, and I went to the doctor a few years ago because it got a bit invasive, and he said, oh yes, you can take this drug and that drug, and we can take scrapings, and you can do this and rub that on or have surgery or whatever it is. And he said, but you probably don't want to do that. And I said, that's correct. Yeah, I just wanted to know what it was. I'll deal with it. And I dealt with it by not really dealing with it. Anyway, the other day I was showering and I looked at my upper arm where I had a big patch of this dermatitis, and all that was left was a little tiny freckle of dermatitis. And I thought, oh my goodness. And then I examined the other parts of my body where this dermatitis had been exhibiting itself, and it's totally gone. So the only thing that I've done differently is I've used the oil and the seeds and the powder. I have to tell you that it makes me feel very grounded. I feel very, very soft, very grounded, and I think that the oil and even if it's just the balance of nutrients, whatever it is, has really changed how I do things. So I'm talking to you about it because it fits in so beautifully with hypermobility. I'm a hypermobile person, and before we knew what hypermobile, we were getting to know what hypermobile was, and we could say, oh yes, it's a collagen mutation, and so the only thing we could really advise you to do is take collagen in one of its many forms, hoping to boost that collagen or change it in some way. But now we have been notified of the endocannabinoid system. The endocannabinoid system is the courier or the conductor of the orchestra. So the cell says we need this, and the DNA says okay, and everything is all right. But when you have hypermobility, it's like having no road to your house, so the tradesman can't go there. And there's no telephone pole, so there's no telephone. Well, the endocannabinoid system sees to all that. It is the telephone system, and it makes sure that the tradesman can get to the door. And so obviously, in my case, that is what has been happening, and I have referred it to a few of our clients who have been using it to great effect. And whilst it's not CBD, it is not designed particularly for pain, it has been working in that way. So I believe that homeopathically there is something in the seed and in the powder and in the oil that is working in the same way as the whole plant does, because the whole plant comes from the seed. Let us not forget that. So, the endocannabinoid system controls the gut, the motility in the gut, and it controls inflammation, intestinal inflammation in particular, abdominal pain, gut permeability, all those things with your second brain, your gut, the endocannabinoid system looks after. So in order to have a stable internal environment, then you need to have a very balanced endocannabinoid system. So it's very exciting that the endocannabinoid system works alongside and helps hypermobility. It works with the DNA, it works with, it is a receptor, so it's delivering messages all the time and helping the body become balanced. People didn't know about it because they weren't allowed to know about it. It's really interesting that the first cannabinoid chemical to be discovered, that's a chemical within the plant, they called anandamide. And if you're a yogi, you'll know ananda means bliss. So it's really nice also for a yogi to have that connection. So we don't really have a complete and full picture of what the endocannabinoid system does, but we do know that it fines-tunes most of our physiological functions, and we have to love it for that. It promotes homeostasis, that's the balance of the body, and it works across all major body systems, making sure that they all work in concert with one another. So all animals have an endocannabinoid system. They're the most abundant neuromodulatory receptors in the body. ECS has been found to play a role in many diseases. So, as it helps to bring balance to the body, scientists have really started to notice that there's changes in everything from neurodegenerative diseases to arthritis and cancer. All of those things have changed. Clinical cannabinoid system deficiency syndrome has been found to be at the root of a lot of diseases. So anything we can do to boost this is really good. So natural cannabinoids in hemp and other plants have very therapeutic effects. And it's easy to get now. So exercise and diet also help. So you can't have one without the other. You can't boost one. You can't say, okay, I'll just take hemp, I won't exercise, and I'll just keep eating cream cakes. No, that won't work for you at all. Diet is a really useful thing. I found that since I started taking the range of hemp supplements that I do, that I'm not so hungry. I can go really long periods and do yoga and not feel hungry, which is something new to me. So I imagine that if you were on a weight control program, a management program, it would be most useful. So we have in the stores at the moment the oils in Australia, and with the oils, it's very difficult at the moment because it's a growing field. So whilst everybody is racing to produce Australian seeds, we don't have, it appears to me, a great amount available at the moment. So while some farms have hemp seeds that are grown on local farms, oftentimes they're mixed or substituted with Canadian or New Zealand seeds, and it seems that those two pop up a lot. On the side of bottles of oil it says it's produced in Australia, but that doesn't mean that it is. It just means that 10% is, which is probably the bottle, the label and the lid. The rest is produced overseas, but this will change in time. More and more of the producers are actually producing their own. They're not just bringing over seed and turning it into product. So I take whole hemp seeds, that is the ones with the husk still on, and I'm waiting at the moment for my first tray of hemp sprouts. Now I've looked it up on the web and it seems to be quite safe. I'll let you know if I go off into dreamland. It probably will be good for me, but I'm looking forward to trying that aspect. If I didn't use them for sprouts, I could have used the dried whole hemp seed to make dukkha or something like that, that was a little bit more grainy and fibery. Beautiful taste, very nutty and lovely. And then there's whole hemp seeds. That's the hemp seed with the outer casing taken off. They're called hemp hearts in America, and it's a really lovely word because they are beautiful and creamy and soft and lovely, and you can make great milk from them. And then there's hemp seed oil. Don't cook it. Don't cook with it. Try and not heat any of these products too much because you'll destroy the valuable nutrients. And then there's full spectrum hemp oil. That is where they've used the whole plant and they've dried it and processed it and used ethanol and various other things in order to draw out the active constituents of the plant. And there is hemp protein. Hemp protein is gorgeous. It's like one of those green powders. You can get it in all kinds of flavors. I just have it raw flavor because it's quite lovely and nutty. And I put it in my gingerbread cookies. I put it in cakes. I put it in muesli. Anywhere I can put it, I do, because I think it's important. And talking about important, full spectrum hemp oil, it's very expensive. It's $75 for about 50 ml. So you won't confuse it with ordinary hemp oil because you can't buy it in the shops, and when you do buy it, it is expensive. When you look on the label, make sure that it doesn't have any THC in it. It should not have any terpenes or THC. It might say THC 0 to 1% or something. I think that's the range, something like that. But as I don't buy it, it doesn't, it doesn't affect me. There we are. So to finish off, I just want to do my hemp checklist. This is the checklist that I apply to buying hemp products because they're new and we've got some jockeys on the block. You have to be careful when you buy it. So, 1, be sure of I'll read out the numbers. So, be sure of the origin of the hemp, even if it says it's made in Australia. Make sure that if it's not, that it's made somewhere like New Zealand or Canada, because they've got the same requirement for organic that we have. Check for psychoactives, should be trace or 0%. There should not be any additives or terpenes. You should be able to see or source a lab report about the batch number, because there will be a batch number if you're buying full spectrum. If you're purchasing full spectrum, check for beneficial compounds on the label. Look for good labels, because cheap labels can often indicate to you a fly-by-night company, and there are a few. Make sure that the company advertises a range of products and it looks like a good marketplace. Is their site educational, or is it just a GoDaddy or a free cheap site where there's only one product and that's all it is, and they don't tell you what it is, and you can't get to them, and you can't make an email, and you can't ring them? Don't go there. Don't buy place, because you don't know what you're getting. If you do find a company that you like, test the email. So ring them up and think of any question you like. It really doesn't matter. What you're testing is if you've got a problem, that you'll be able to ring them and get an answer. If they don't answer you before you purchase, they're not going to answer you after you purchased. It's definitely buyer beware. Do they have good online reviews? And do they publish a couple of bad ones? It should be a majority of good ones. And there should be a disclaimer somewhere, because they're not allowed to say that they cure anything, right? This isn't about curing things. This is about managing or balancing or changing. It's not about curing. So I hope you got something out of this little rant. I'll keep up and try to keep online with you. I do have the blog on www.yogabeautiful.com.au. That's www.yogabeautiful.com.au. There's a blog there, and there's also a little drop down that I'll put up anything, and there's events, so when I'm having an event I'll let you know. There is an event in Shepparton on the 23rd of this month at the Carrington Hotel. I'm going to do a little talk between 2 and 4 p.m. on this subject, on the yoga of hemp. So I'm hoping that enough of you get along to make it worthwhile. But please do try it. They are reasonably expensive at the moment. You'll pay the same for a good olive oil as you will for a good hemp. The seeds are so beautiful. Once you've had them, you won't want to have them out of your cupboard. And the protein powder is so much better than any of those weightlifters protein powders or cucky soy ones that are on the market. So do try them. I'm sure that you'll be really pleased with the product, and let me know what success that you have. By the way, the brand names that I'm using at the moment, I've used a few. I'm using Hemp Foods Australia, I think it's called, Hemp Foods Australia, and I'm using Royal, which is one of my favorites. They've got a lot of things across the board, lots and lots of products. Very responsive company, very good. They're providing some handouts and samples and giveaways for the thing that we're having on the 23rd of September, which is very good of them. So you'll be able to try them. What else? Oh yes, the protein powder, Hempel, Hempl, is the one that I use. So I will be trying Royals, and I will be trying the others. The one that occurs in Coles is called Red Tractor, so you might like to try that. And in Coles is Nature's Way hemp oil capsules. Hemp oil capsules might be terrific if you don't like putting oil in your dressing or putting oil on things, but it's a very expensive way to get your oil, so think about it before you invest in that. It's very expensive. I think that's all for the moment. Thank you very much. Namaste.